The Shelter, the bomb that went off in the mind. In 1961, Rod Serling aired an episode of The Twilight Zone called The Shelter. It begins with a suburban birthday party full of laughter, neighbors, and polite speeches. In the middle of the celebration, the doctor hosting the party is teased for building a fallout shelter in his basement. Moments later, a broadcast cuts through the joy. Unidentified objects are approaching the United States. Nuclear attack is imminent. Panic erupts. Neighbors turn desperate and friendships collapse. And even though the all clear is given minutes later, the damage has already been done. That's the episode Serling gave us. But what matters for us is not the Cold War panic or the Cuban Missile Crisis context. What matters is the metaphysical lesson hidden inside. Because the bomb never went off in the sky. The bomb went off in the mind. A neighborhood gathers for cake, laughter, and speeches. They joke about Dr. Stockton's fallout shelter as a silly monument to paranoia. A broadcast cuts through the chatter and fear pierces the room. The missiles never need to exist for panic to be real in the mind. The real explosion happens within, where belief outruns fact. Neighbors become rivals as scarcity rewrites their faces. A baby's cry becomes leverage, and friendship becomes currency. The shelter door turns from wood and steel into a doctrine of exclusion. They batter the door and symbolically batter their own sanity. Then the all clear arrives, and no missiles ever fell. What shattered was not a street but a shared story of trust. The bomb went off even though it did not go off. This is the anatomy of an ego detonation. The shelter is not neutral because nothing is neutral in the mind. It is separation poured into concrete and blessed as prudence. It says, "My breath matters more than yours, and my future is payable in your absence." Air rations become love rations, measured and withheld by fear. The lock is judgment made mechanical. The key is specialness, pretending to be responsibility. From A Course in Miracles lens, form only reflects content. If the content is fear, the form will segregate, hoard, and defend. If the content is love, the form will include, share, and forgive. The neighborhood did not suddenly become cruel. It simply revealed its content when the ego's siren sounded. The panic was not about bombs, but about belief. What appears as behavior is only the echo of a choice in mind. That choice is always the same fork, separation or joining. The shelter canonizes separation and calls it wisdom. The mob canonizes attack and calls it justice. Both are the same mistake wearing different uniforms. Anticipation is the ego's favorite torture device. If a nuclear device had detonated, the end would have been instantaneous by the world's clock. What consumed the neighborhood was the marathon of imagined outcomes. Hours of dread purchased for a second that never came. This is the economy of fear. Pay now, suffer now, and never receive. The neighbors tried to buy safety with guilt. Look at the baby became the invoice for another's breath. Guilt is the ego's tax on love, and it collects at every door. But guilt cannot enter a mind that remembers innocence. Innocence does not argue with behavior. It answers the content. A fearful mind is treacherous because it believes its own alarms. Yet fear is not sin. Fear is a call for love. Seen truly, the battering ram is a prayer mispronounced. The cries in the hallway are a chorus of amnesia asking to be reminded. Forgiveness is the reminder, not the reward. Forgiveness does not condone, it corrects perception. It looks on what never truly happened and lets it go. The bomb never fell, and the attack never left the dream. To forgive here is to admit that only thought was damaged, and thought can be healed. Nothing real can be threatened is not optimism but ontology. That line from A Course in Miracles text introduction is the blueprint of the only shelter that works. True shelter is not four walls and filtered air. It is the awareness of changeless safety. Within that awareness, breath is not scarce and love is not rationed. Within that awareness, neighbors are not contenders for a single chair at life's table. The ego says, save your family and harden your heart. Spirit says, save your mind and it will embrace every family. Serling warns that civilization survives only if humans remain civilized. Go deeper still. Sanity survives only as forgiveness is kept current. Unforgiven thoughts are unexploded munitions buried in daily scenes. Stress is the ticking. Resentment is the fuse. Projection is the shrapnel. Every argument about who deserves air is an argument against a shared identity. Every plea that weaponizes a child is the past demanding payment from the present. The shelter is the altar of specialness, and specialness always requires sacrifice. In the gospel of the ego, someone must lose so someone can live. In the recognition of the Christ, no one loses because no one is separate. To get off the battlefield is to stop treating form as cause. The cause is the belief in separation, and its only remedy is a new teacher. A Course in Miracles, Chapter 5, teaches that the Holy Spirit reinterprets fear to undo it. Chapter 13, Section 4 teaches that guilt is the guard at the gate of the past. Invite the new teacher, and the alarm is translated into a lesson in peace. Then the same scene becomes curriculum rather than catastrophe. Stockton's door becomes a mirror. The neighbor's rage becomes a syllabus on the misuse of power. The false alarm becomes a true assignment. Choose once again. Choosing again means answering content with mercy, not form with argument. It means noticing the reflex to hoard breath and then breathing love instead. It means hearing the mind whisper, save your own, and replying, save the oneself. It means realizing that protection built on fear is a prison with a polite name. The next time an inner siren blares, notice the hands reaching for the battering ram. Put them down. Ask what is really being asked for. Answer with what is actually in infinite supply. The neighborhood did not need more air. It needed more truth remembered and more guilt refused. Civil defense without inner defense only militarizes panic. Inner defense is the quiet certainty that love is not on a countdown. That certainty is the only shelter that does not collapse when the news changes. The shelter is not a Cold War artifact, but a living parable of mind training. The bomb to disarm is the belief that anyone is outside the door of heaven. When that belief is surrendered, alarms still sound, but they do not command. And when the all clear comes, there is nothing to apologize for, because no one was excluded. Peace is not what happens after the crisis. Peace is what prevents the crisis from being believed.